what we're hopefully going to do with the TV expansion, the basically the pilot for the TV show would essentially be the same event that is captured in the short, but essentially you'd get it all from Mike's perspective as opposed from Will's perspective.
Oh.
And so the series follows Mike, and we later learn that's might not be his real name, as he interfaces with all these different clients from episode to episode. You also get to see a little of his home life. You see the girlfriend, and but you also see as he explores these different clients of various genders, sexualities, identities, the ways in which he might open up and his own conception of his own sexuality might change and develop, and the people who become his partners separate from the sex work and who are the partners in his life might change as influenced by what happens in the sex work.
When did you first think, like, I want to continue this story? I want it to be Mike's story. When did that first happen? The idea?
Do you remember?
I do. I
Which
do.
is not at Sugarfish.
I know that I shared another pilot with Lovell called To the Light that I'm working on, which is kind of like a gay normal people anthology series. And so I shared that with him and he was like, look, I really dig this, but what I would love to do is continue our work on You Say Hello and turn it into a series. That's what I remember, but I don't know if that's the truth or not.
No,
So,
I think that's definitely part of it. I think we'd always felt like, oh, is there a way to like turn this into like an anthology film where we shoot like two others and then you put them together and
Uh,
together they make a feature or something? Because we always felt we had something special that we wanted, that felt like it always wanted to live beyond just the single short and its festival run. And I think Daniel's right. It was about a year and a half or so ago. He presented me with To the Light, and he was saying, "Oh, well, maybe we should shoot this as a proof of concept for a series." And I said, "Well, that's more me, dollar sign, me, dollar sign." I was like, "Well, that's more money. We already have something fantastic that's essentially the length of a pilot. Does it not make more sense to take what we already have and maybe expand that and roll that?" Because I will say there are definitely like I think we all have just like pieces of work that we do that then stick with us and continue to kind of haunt us in the best way. And I was like, I had always felt like you want to see what happens after this short ends.
yeah.
Um, but it really always felt that like the way to do that with real legs is to switch the point of view that like the person who's having these episodic adventures is Mike,
sure.
not Will. Like if like I think Will's story is very much a feature contained type of story. Mike's the ongoing one where things are constantly changing in his world. And I think as Daniel and I started talking, we sort of said like, okay, yeah, that's it. That's kind of takes the normal people aspect that Daniel really was interested in exploring and then fuses it with something that format wise, like an in treatment or something like that, that allows us to have a good juicy story, kind of like as they used to say 20 years ago, the quote unquote monster of the week,
Yeah,
uh,
totally.
and fusing that with kind of a season long arc. And like one of the things that we've talked about is that like setting a first season in LA, but then each subsequent season is Mike in a different city and using each of those cities to kind of give a commentary on both sex, but also working in different forms of service industries around the Western US and how those things change from rural environments to resort towns, like to kind of, I guess, for lack of a better word, like White Lotus it a little bit, but that Mike is the through line in every location.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
and also like
Unfor-
exploring like you know like I think that family is a really important part of this too. Like I mean the reason he's doing this is for his mother and to help help her treatment. She's very ill with cancer. And so I think that I also love that through his adventures you're also telling a story about ties to family and how kind of close we are and how that all kind of goes back to family, and so I also really like that that's an anchor, a really important anchor in the show, which I think is really cool.
yeah. I think you should just send him to the South and see what happens. I don't know.
If
That's a
everything goes,
freebie. I
if
give that to
everything
Depends
goes,
on the city.
yeah, if everything goes according to plan, he definitely finds himself in a rural environment for at
Yeah.
least a portion, without giving too much away. He definitely finds
Sure.
himself in a rural environment.
When you're pitching the new idea, what roles do you want to play? Daniel, are you planning to write all the Lovell? Are you the showrunner? Are you like, what is the plan? Are you gonna, Daniel, will you direct some of these episodes? Like, or can you even pitch that to like, can you say like, hey, this is what we want to do?
I think it's really equal. Like I think we both are like we co-wrote the pilot, which was so much fun and so
Mhm.
wonderful. And so I think we plan on being able to, both bring in amazing directors and stuff like that, but also direct episodes ourselves, write the entirety of it ourselves, I think is what we're looking to do. And then, bring in really incredible collaborators, hopefully guest directors. And so that we've talked about some people, which I would be really, really fun. And, but it'd be very equal, which
Yeah.
I'm excited about.
No, and I don't think I can say yet
Yeah.
who our showrunner is, just because it's the kind of thing where it's like, but we have been talking to someone fantastic whom we both really adore, who loves the project, and hopefully the stars will all align that they will be able to be there kind of shepherding and guiding us, because while I know how to get a feature film completed and out there, I do not know how to do that for a TV show. So I don't think either of us would be looking to start off our experience creating a show with also show running it, like just completely like un untethered. So I
Yeah.
think I think we're both looking at this as an opportunity to tell a story that we know really well, but in a way that is going to be a little fresh for both of us, that we will, that while we have full confidence in the narrative, this is also a chance to learn all the nuts and bolts at that level
Yeah.
through the process.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's something that I think is really important is to earn being a showrunner. Like I think
Mhm.
it's not something that, like I think it's not something to take lightly. It is an immense job. And it's something I really want to do one day, but I want to earn it. I
Yeah.
want to like build up to it and earn it. And
I mean,
I don't know the way
it
to
is
say that.
funny. I think we often talk about like, oh yeah, a feature film is a marathon. It's like compared to a TV show, a feature film is a sprint.
Right.
Because like truly like 10 episodes of television, even 8 episodes of television, like that's at least on average, like let's conservatively call it 3 movies filmed simultaneously back to back.
Yeah.
Just if you add up time watched and created. So I mean it's uh it's certainly not an endeavor anyone could take cavalierly.
Yeah.
Which I think is why it's so hard to get TV shows greenlit and made, especially in this day and age.
I wonder, would you revisit like any relationships in the series? Like, let's say, will the character, like, is that going to be the end of his character in episode one, the pilot, or would you come back to him?
How much do we say?
Okay,
They run into each other at Walmart. I don't
I
know.
feel like I feel like I between the two of us, I'm probably the best at being coy.
Really? Yeah, I bet. I bet.
So so here's what I would say. I would say you might not see Will again, but the actions of this particular chapter would loom large over the first season, and it's entirely possible you could meet some other people from Will's world,
Yeah.
as a consequence to what
That's
happens
cool.
here.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so
I'll
much.
put it this way. I'll put it this way. The short and the series both capture this one night, because for both of these men, their lives are never the same after it.
Wow, that's powerful. I love that.
So yeah, so
Great way to put it. Yeah.
yeah, the domino that's knocked over here would affect Mike for the rest of the show.
I was looking up Will and Chris because I loved them so much. I'm very eager to know what they're both doing right now. And if I had thought, I mean, we could have brought them on too, maybe for another interview another time. But I wondered, like, do you try to attach an actor to a project? Do you hope? Do you like, is that even something you think about when you pitch this idea to people?
Well, it's interesting, and it's also I mean, Will and Chris are both so brilliant in this, but also just by virtue of the ages of the characters. I mean, we shot this now. It'll soon be 8 years since we shot it. So
Yeah.
as brilliant as they both are, they both have kind of aged out of the
Sure.
parts.
Yeah, that's very
And so,
true.
so I do think it's something where if this was able to go to a TV series, I think we would both love to have them involved in some capacity, but probably as different characters who appear, just because we both have such respect for them. But the long short of it, like I know Chris is now working
It's a
very
manager.
at a
Yeah.
very high level as a talent manager
Oh,
and
Yeah.
doing
wow.
great. Will is constantly working, so I think they're both great. The short answer is they're both doing great. Their talents continue to acquit them well. As far as attaching an actor, it really is that kind of chicken and egg sort of thing that sort of in this post-strike world that we
Right.
all live in, and what gets greenlit
Sure.
when companies are looking to go, how bare of a package do they want? How much of a say do they want to have? How much do they want to have the thumbprint pressed on it to say like, oh yeah, the reason that person is there is because we did that. And so it's a constant conversation with between us and the people we're fortunate enough to be working with developing this to say like, hey, when is the time to do XYZ? And
Yeah.
I think the simple reality is it can automatically vary from project to project, and even within that same project, vary depending on the time when you're looking to make a certain move.